taking one step forward each day or putting one foot after another is conventional common sense, and it's very good advice, and it's a wonderful principle to follow to keep moving forward, especially when the times are tough. At the same time, there is something else that I want to share, and I want to specifically record this video for that, which is about taking leaps and, in fact, doing what is unreasonable at times, right? And I want to share a few examples. At the same time, not negating or not dismissing the value of taking one step forward. And I want to share a few examples of that from some of the people that I know or I have worked with. So, one of my clients was recently looking for a job while they had a dream of starting their own company. So, they were continuously searching for jobs. And I asked this person, why or what if you can not just look for a job, but you can actually create 3 jobs? And for a while, he was confused that I don't even have a job. How can I find or create 3 jobs? But he had ideas. He had ideas, and I proposed, why don't you start reaching out and asking people to fund your ideas? And if you get funding, you do not just create a job for yourself. You can also get to choose whom to hire and how to build a team. Because the fact is that, right, this is unreasonable. He was not doing it because this doesn't make sense. Because the gradual one step after the another process it, let me get something first and then I will take care of the second thing. But the thing is that if you don't go for something, the answer is always no. And if you start going for something which is unreasonable, which is unrealistic, then even in the worst case, you have nothing to lose, because in the one step forward framework, you were not even attempting that. So what happened with that person was they ended up getting funding, and now they have a 17 people company. But 2 years ago, when they started, they just were looking for a job, and they in fact created something totally different. They created 3 jobs out of the first fundraise that they got. This is one example. I'll give you another example of a person, a very powerful leader, who were looking to get advertisement for what they were doing in a prominent newspaper or a radio channel. And they were running a non-governmental organization. So obviously they did not have the funds to afford a traditional newspaper or a radio channel. But what this person ended up doing was once again totally unreasonable. What they did was they invited the radio channel. They created a campaign. They started a campaign towards the main work that they were doing. And then they invited multiple newspapers, multiple radio channels, multiple TV channels to be brand ambassadors, to be media partners in their initiative. So instead of going out and asking for advertisements in those prominent properties, they invited them to be media partners. In a way, they flipped the game. And now the same media properties were after this to become a part of their campaign. And they got free publicity. They got so much media attention just out of flipping the game, right? So the one step forward would be to maybe going out, trying and convincing these TV channels, newspapers, but they flipped the game. Instead of convincing them, they gave them the option to say yes and no to them, to the campaign that they're running. And yes, a lot of media channels blew them off. They said no to, but a few said yes at almost zero cost. They got free publicity from a few, and that snowballed over a period of time. And they never had to search for or convince somebody to put their advertisement at free or at a very low cost once again, right? So that's being unreasonable. That's taking a leap. I'll give you another example. A friend of mine started an NGO, and this was more than 10 to 12 years ago. And this was a new NGO, right? And they were talking about, how do I get the word out? How do I create awareness about what they are trying to do? And what they did was they went out and actually asked 30 people in the industry who are very well known to become their brand ambassadors, right? So these are people who are already influencers, who are already celebrities from the world of media, from the worlds of films and movies, from the worlds of sports. And they made 30 requests to such people, which would you call unreasonable request for any new NGO, that we want you to be our brand ambassador, but we have nothing to offer you. We have nothing to pay you. And out of those 30, one of those, a very famous cricketer in India, actually said yes to be a brand ambassador for this NGO, which my friend started at that time. Because of that, you know what happened? In 7 months, so this was an NGO about organ donation. In 7 months, they were able to get more organ donations than the state government have been able to do in the previous 7 years. Why? All because this friend of mine made an unreasonable request, took a leap instead of doing the reasonable, doing the one step after another. Right? So while there is nothing wrong with taking one step after another, and it's wonderful advice, it's wise advice, I want to invite you to think about what is one unreasonable request, what is one unreasonable step that you can take right now, which can turn the game and which can turn the table on its head, which can take you forward. That one step after another can only take you in a few years. Right? What is that one big, bold, unreasonable, unrealistic step that you can take? What is that request that you can make of somebody else who could be that person? And it doesn't matter if they say yes and no, because right now, if you're only taking the one step after another, you're anyways missing out on all the chances. Right? In this way, in this framework, you have nothing to lose. What if you can do something totally unreasonable? Another example, before I stop this video, is a friend of mine was looking to lead a 12 people team, while they really wanted to lead a 50 people team. And when I asked them why, they said that's the normal way. You grow, you get promoted one step after the another. And I challenged this person to start looking for 50 people, like managerial responsibility, starting right now. And they started doing that. And within few months, within 6 months, they were suddenly applying for roles which they were earlier thinking 3 years down the line. Right? So they were jumping two hierarchies up in their ladder of hierarchies in any corporate setup. And yes, they faced a lot of rejections, they faced a lot of no's, but within 6 months, they had one job. Right? When you are taking one step after another, you have to get every step right. But when you are going for leaps, even one leap, if you can make it successful out of 10 or out of 20, even that is enough. That will take you beyond what one step after another or putting one foot after another can do for you in years. Right? So nothing wrong with taking one step after another, putting one foot after another. Keep doing that. But every now and then, just look and ask the question, what could be a leap that I can take there? What could be an unreasonable or an unrealistic request or action that I can take, that if it succeeds, it will take me multiple years into the future? Ask yourself this question and then take action, and your life will never be the same again.